It's my pleasure to have as my guest today Pauline Spencer, who is a magistrate here in Victoria. Pauline, welcome.
Thank you, Rob.
Could you just tell us a bit about your role as a magistrate? Where do you sit and what sort of cases do you hear?
Well, I currently sit out at the Dandenong Magistrates Court, which is at the south-eastern suburbs of Melbourne, one of the very busy courts outside of the City Court. I hear cases ranging from criminal law, both bail applications, pleas of guilty and contested hearings, family violence, intervention order matters, a little bit of family law and also civil law like contract disputes.
And most of the cases that come before you, do people represent themselves or are they represented by a barrister or a solicitor or some form of counsel?
That's an interesting point because traditionally there's been quite a lot of legal representation with legal aid, duty lawyers. We have duty lawyers on staff at the court every day. Recently there's been some guideline changes which have meant that duty lawyers are appearing less frequently because of the load of matters they've had to cut down on the types of matters they see and really target their appearances. So we're seeing more and more people who are representing themselves.
But of those people that are represented, I'm sure you've seen some pretty good counsel, some pretty lousy counsel. What makes a lousy counsel? For our students who are thinking of getting into the law obviously and want to be a barrister or a solicitor or whatever, what's a lousy counsel as far as you're concerned?
Yes, well, it's I think for me it's someone who hasn't prepared. You know, if you don't prepare, you go into court, you don't know what you're trying to get across, so you're a bit all over the place. And I think if people can think about who their target audience is, so the magistrate, me sitting up there hearing the case, I know nothing about it. I need to know very quickly in a busy list what's going on and what I'm going to do. So someone who comes in and just starts rambling and going off in a tangent, I call it going down the rabbit hole. You kind of feel, where am I going with this? And you lose interest and you lose the thread of what they're saying, and then suddenly you don't know what you're doing, and that's not helpful.
Obviously not, and you've obviously seen some good barristers, some good counsel, good solicitors, good legal representatives. In your view, what, apart from preparation of course, what does make a good legal representative in your court? I
think if the legal rep turns their mind to what the magistrate is needing to decide. So put themselves in our shoes and say, okay, what is the law that the magistrate has to consider? What are the other factors the magistrate has to consider? And just make sure you hone in your submissions to those points. So you're really taking us on a journey. You're saying, this is the law, this is the situation, this is what I am submitting as an appropriate outcome. And if you're organised in the way you approach that and you're giving us all the information we need to make the decision, then we're going to feel more comfortable making the decision that you're wanting us to make.
And there'll be a lot of law students watching this. If you were to give one or two tips to law students who are not too sure about their career path at the moment but thinking of becoming an advocate, what would those one or two things that you'd want to tell them be?
I think you need to think about what you're passionate about. The law it's a tough game, and if you are going into something that you're not passionate about, you're going to find that you're going to be working hard and long hours and you're not going to be happy. So try to find something that you're passionate about, and that could be something surprising. So I suppose my first recommendation would be to try as many things as you can, volunteer, do work experience in all the different areas of law, even ones you don't think you might be interested in, because you never know, it might be the thing that is interesting in the long run.
Often we read in the paper about judges being out of touch, and we see on the television a family walking out of court and they're aggrieved and they say, you know, the law is out of touch and judges don't know what's happening in the real world. How, as a magistrate, a senior judicial official in this state, do you deal with those sorts of accusations? What do you say to people who believe judges are out of touch?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing because there is that concern, and I think for me, I feel very in touch with the community just because of the people that I'm seeing every day. So if you think of any given day that I'm sitting in court, I'm seeing, it could be 3 or 4 cases, but more often than not, up to 50, 60 cases in a day, where I'm seeing all those people, hearing all their stories, whether it be issues around drug addiction, mental health, family violence, separation and divorce, children's issues, all those types of issues I'm dealing with on a daily basis. So I'm hearing about the stories of people in the community. So I feel like I'm very much in touch with the community. Also, I'm sitting as a Victims of Crime Tribunal member, so I hear the stories of the victims of crime as well, and so that's really important. So I'm hearing those perspectives. So I always get a little bit surprised about that comment because I feel like I'm hearing those stories every day. But I think, I come from a particular background and I'm lucky enough to have had a good education and be in a good job and to live a certain life. So I need to make sure I'm constantly educating myself about what's going on in other communities and whether they're newly arrived communities we don't know about or their particular concerns about particular legal areas such as family violence. I need to make sure that I'm reading and learning as much as I can along the way.
Well, that's great, Pauline. Thanks very much for joining us. And students, there's a few tips there. Be passionate about what you want to do. Try as many things as possible. And if you want to be an advocate in court, make sure you prepare properly and be succinct. And we'll be as succinct as we can by finishing up now. Thanks for joining us.